Hello everyone, my name is Kingsley, and today I'll be talking about how to sketch curves in polar form.
To start off with, we have the graph of the polar equation, which is given as r is equal to a function f of theta, where r is the distance from the point to the pole, theta is the angle in radians, and points are generally in r comma theta form. So let's look at example 4, which says what curve is represented by the polar equation r equals 2. So we're given that the distance from the point to the pole is 2, but we don't have an angle, so we don't need to take that into account. So we draw our pole here, and we go 2, and since we don't have an angle, we have basically infinite points on the line of 2, and so once we draw all those infinite points, it basically just becomes a circle that has a radius of 2. And when we go down to example 5, it says sketch the polar curve theta equals 1, where we have an angle in radians now, but we don't have a distance from the point to the pole. So this just stays at a single point here, but the angle does change, and the angle is 1 radian. So it's just a straight line at an angle. Now let's try an example that has both an angle and distance. So I chose example 6, which says sketch the curve with the polar equation of r equals 2 times cosine of theta. And how we start out these problems is we get a bunch of theta values. We usually want to go from 0 to pi with trigonometric equations like sine and cosine, because their graphs are just like repeating waves. So if we get any value above pi, we'll just keep looping back to previous values. So we just go from 0 to pi here for theta, and we just go in sixth. So we get 0, pi over 6, pi over 4, pi over 3, and so on. And then we plug these thetas into 2 cosine theta, and then we get the value here. So when theta is 0, the radius is 2. Oh, no, sorry, not radius. The distance is 2. When theta is pi over 6, the distance is square root of 3. And so we keep going and going until we get to pi. And then what we do is we draw all of these points, as you can see here, and I drew little lines to see how they connect to this point, 0, pi over 2. And then once you trace them all out, you get one big circle.